Okay, we're going to be learning the Tunisian Smock stitch. It's a stitch that has become very popular on the internet right now. It's honeycomb style, so the stitches are going to be staggered. And you're going to start off by skipping the first vertical bar, and then you will insert your hook as for simple stitch under 2 and simple stitch 2 together. Now, instead of a typical yarn over like you do normally, this one requires a yarn under, which is just basically pulling the yarn forward. Now, if you don't hold it there, you are going to end up doing a purl stitch. So for the entire stitch, you have to hold that right there. So now we're going to do a 2 together. Holding it there, see, there's the yarn under right there. Yarn under, hold. 2 together. Yarn under, hold. 2 together. Yarn under, hold. 2 together. Now, I can tell this stitch is already going to curl. You may want to take extra measures to plan out your project so that it doesn't curl. Extra stitches here, a border, seaming, whatever it takes to get rid of that. Yarn under. Two together. All right. And then at the end, another yarn under, and then I just like to go into the last stitch so that these two are showing on the outside. And then I should have 14, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. It helps when learning a new stitch that you count just to make sure you're on track until you get it. This is a standard chain 1 and yarn over, pull through 2. You see that's definitely going to curl. It's trying to curl already. Pull through 2 and 2. Oops. 2. Now these stitches are going to be staggered. It's predominantly the 2 together that you're doing here, but the stitches have to be staggered. So in order to stagger them, you have to do single stitches or a single stitch at the beginning in order to get these stitches to stagger. Pull through 2 all the way across. Alright, I'll show you what I mean here. For this first one, I skipped the first vertical bar and went straight into the 2 together. For the second row, I'm going to do a single simple stitch first, and then I'm going to go into the 2 together. Now, notice immediately that the yarn under likes to get buried. As soon as you do a stitch here, this one likes to get buried, so you have to find it. And you're going to be stitching 2 together and always over this hole in the lace. So that's the yarn under, and this is the stitch. Alright, so this is 2 together, and then another yarn under. And again, it gets buried. 2 together, and then a yarn under. And then always remember that that little guy gets buried. If you know that he's there, then it will make it easy to remember. And what you're doing is stitching over and closing up that hole. Now as you go, this will get easier, but especially the holding the yarn under there. If you don't hold the yarn under, it's going to produce a purl stitch instead of a yarn over that's just sitting there. And that's what you don't want to do. Always remember the last yarn under before you continue, and then you have one simple stitch and then the end stitch, and then you should again have 14 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay? Sometimes you see the yarn under, it's sitting there so precariously that it does try to leave. So chain 1 and pull through 2 all the way across. Now I'm trying to do a big enough swatch here so that you could actually see the cool stitch pattern and why everybody, even people who have never done Tunisian crochet before, are enjoying this stitch pattern so much right now. So let's take a look and pull all the way across through 2 all the way and through 2. My cat really wants to get in this room. All the way across. Alright, so we have done the simple stitch, the one simple stitch at the beginning, so we're going to go back to the 2 simple stitch at the beginning. So skip the first vertical bar. See, it's staggered. You have to stagger it. Pull through 2. Alright, now yarn under, and again it likes to hide, but see, that time it didn't hide as much. And then pull through, yarn under. As long as you know it's there, you can find it. If you didn't know it was there, you'd be skipping that stitch all the way across. Through 2. Oh, that curling, I gotta get that out of the way. Yarn under, and then we're going to 2 together, and yarn under, 2 together. Now another thing that I did, that I constantly did when I was practicing, I need to learn how to speak first, is I always forget this yarn under here at the end. On either of the 2 rows, I always forget it, and I was constantly reducing by 1 stitch. That's why I needed to count. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh yay, I've got it now. That curling, that's going to be a problem. Just got to do things to alleviate that. A seam, blocking. You could make squares and then seam them all together, and that would reduce the curling. You could make a cowl and seam this side to the last row. And I'll pull through 2 all the way across. Just don't let that yarn over or that yarn under get away from you. That's the key. Now you can bind off this stitch pattern any way you like. I usually use a modified simple stitch when I bind off, and you can find that information in the binding off video. If you're looking for written instructions, they are available on CrochetKim.com. Do you need me to do that one more time? See how that looks? See? It's a really neat look. But as you can see, it has to be bound off, or else you've got these loops here, these big holes. So when you bind off, I like to just go through the simple stitch and also the horizontal bar and pull through. and that will close it up. Now that is available on my channel. It's a bind off. You can bind off many different ways, and that's just have to be my favorite, and I would do that all the way across, but again, that's on my channel. And this is the Tunisian Smock stitch. Enjoy.